Dear friends, today we have brought a very unique story for you, which you will definitely like to listen to. Because there is a lot to learn from this story from beginning to end. There are stories of how the princess tortured the poor fisherman, then when one day the princess was bitten by a black snake, due to which when the princess died, the next day everybody mourned the princess. They buried him in the cemetery, but the next day the princess was found in the grave. Who stole the princess' body? Find out in this unique story. Dear friends, read the story till the end. He will tell a very interesting story. So let's start reading the story now. Let's start. There is a princess from the country of Sham whose name is Shahzadi Banu. Was a princess. Banu was very beautiful but very arrogant. And she was cruel at heart. When her ride passed through the city markets, if she passed by, the windows and doors of the houses would be closed. Shopkeepers would pull down the curtains of their shops. Pedestrians would move aside and take to the streets. They would go to the streets, and if by chance someone was left behind, then he was ordered to lie face down on the ground and follow this order. This was the punishment prescribed for a person who rebelled against. He was made to stand on a platform at the crossroad and his eyes were closed. I should be heard with hot iron rods. One day, Princess Banu's the ride was passing through the market like this. An old passerby was sitting on another road. I entered this market from the road. The vehicle was coming fast, therefore the passerby did not get enough chance to run, and he should go back to the same street from which he came to this market. He had a basket full of fish on his head which he was giving to someone. I could not even take it off my head without support. If I lay on the ground when he threw him to lie face down, the fishes would spread on the road. The poor fisherman got scared and started looking around, now where to go and what to do. But there was no solution in sight, and the cruel soldiers of the cruel princess arrested her. The princess saw him and ordered her slaves to do as per custom. According to the report, after 2 days its eyes were burnt with hot iron rods. They should be broken. On hearing this order, the princess's soldier I bowed down and said, as you command, Banu Sahiba. But on hearing this punishment, the old passerby began to tremble and folded his hands and turned to the princess. He started saying, "O Queen of Evening and Princess, have mercy on me, this poor person. I never looked at you intentionally. Oh my princess, please take care of your age and have mercy on me." The princess said he told his soldiers to gouge out the eyes of this bastard, and then the princess' carriage departed. The poor passerby cries. He remained there, begging for forgiveness from the princess and the soldiers, but his trembling hands could not hold the basket and he fell down. The soldier slapped him on the back. He said, "Wild old man, what have you done? You have made the clean road dirty." "I did it. Pick up the fishes," and the eyes of the poor Mahagir fisherman, tears were flowing from his eyes. He sat on the ground in fear of punishment. With trembling hands he started picking up the fish and filling them in the basket, but the situation was that he was putting the fish in the basket and she used to fall down. The cruel soldiers were abusing her. That the old man, hurry up, I have to punish you, you have plenty of time, it is less. But at the same time, a boy whose age is about 16. He must have been 17 years old. He passed by that bad fisherman, taking pity on the passerby. He started filling the basket with fish. The soldiers did not like this at all, and he pushed the boy and said, "Hey, you good for nothing, who told you this? Did he tell you to pick up the fish and put them in the basket?" The boy, while getting up, he said, "Is it a crime to help a poor old man?" On hearing this, a soldier came forward and attacked him. He slapped her hard on the cheek. The arrogant princess, the ruthless soldier, said, "I don't know my senses, and the law tells us to go our own way." Then that boy, while leaving, he told the proud princess's soldiers that as much as if you want to torture me, do it, we all have to die one day, and this is it. Princess, go and tell them as well. On hearing this, the soldiers became more angry and it got to his head. On hearing this from the boy, the old man, the fisherman, came running to the boy and said, "Son, your prayer will surely be answered one day. This proud princess, it will definitely be destroyed and ruined." After that, the old man again The fisherman quickly filled all the fish in the basket, and the soldier they took him away. After reaching the palace, they took that old man to punish him. Meanwhile, Princess Banu returned after visiting the markets. When she reached her palace, her special minister Gulzar said, "Princess, I feel pity for this old passerby. Please take back your order and forgive this poor beggar. Please give it to me." The princess said, "Not at all. My arrow will not come out of my bow. Never comes back after. In this way we return our given, the order cannot be withdrawn." Minister Gulzar became silent because he knew that if he argued too much with the princess, then it would be harmful for himself. Any punishment will be ordered. But the minister has this in his heart: I kept saying that God willing, some figure should appear and help the passerby. His eyes must remain intact, else the poor fellow will remain handicapped. The palace of that proud princess will be bigger than the palace of the king. It was totally isolated, and there was very tight security around it. Forget about humans, even birds could not kill their wings. That is why the princess used to sleep alone in her luxurious house and keep the windows open so that fresh air from outside can come in. That proud princess was so scared for her life was such that even while sleeping at night he could see servants around him. They used to keep him to guard them. But one night something happened that the princess told the servants not to stay with her today. "I will sleep alone today." I don't know what the princess has in her heart. What happened was that she got ready to sleep alone today, but friends, the boy who warned the soldiers to be careful, who had taken the fish from that bad fisherman and given it to him. We told you about it in the beginning. That same boy somehow. He entered through the window and stood in a corner. He started looking at everything carefully. He saw in the middle of the room there is a beautiful vase with flowers of every color and every kind. There are flowers, and a red-colored diamond is placed on those flowers. That it has happened, and the whole room is lit up with its glow. In the room everything was precious and unique, but the thing that was in that diamond, the shine that was in that red diamond, was not found in anything else. Seeing this, the boy went forward, picked up the diamond and placed it on his forehead. That I put it in his turban. At that moment the room became dark, and I went back the same way I had come. At night, in the last part, when Shahzadi Banu opened her eyes, she saw her in the room. She saw darkness in her eyes. She got up from the bed in fear and, groping each and everything one by one with great difficulty, reached that chain. The crocodile hanging on the roof of the palace reached there. By pulling it, that means the bell would start ringing. He pulled the chain hard, and the sound of the gadil, i.e. the bell, spread far and wide. Slave, the maids, the prisoners, and all the guards ran in fear to the princess' room. They ran towards the king. Meanwhile the king's eyes also opened, and the queen. She also got up from the bed holding her heart and said, "Hi, oh, what misfortune has befallen my child?" The king's wife, she started telling the king loudly, "Come on, hurry up, what happened to daughter Shahzadi Banu?" Then both of them went out quickly. He went out and walked quickly to the palace of Princess Banu. They arrived. There was chaos in the princess's room. The princess was very upset, that was angry, and all the servants were saying with folded hands that I did not see anyone entering the palace. The king further said, "I went ahead and inquired from the princess who had come here, and what harm has the princess done to you?" Then he said, "Abba, sir, the diamond is missing from my room, and everybody here is saying this. No one came." The king looked angrily at the guards. When he saw this, the servants tremblingly said, "Your Majesty, we will wait for a moment, and we did not even notice anyone coming here. I did not see it." The king thought for a while and said, "Okay, you all sleep. Go and search for the thief till tomorrow evening. If he is not found, if this happens, each one of you will be given a severe punishment." After the servants left, the queen said to the king, "I am sure that not even one of these men is a thief. Someone must have come from outside. Therefore, announce in the morning that the person who arrests the thief will be rewarded." But the king was surprised and worried, because this was the first theft that had taken place in his palace. That is why he walked towards his palace silently with his head hanging down, and in the morning he announced that the person who finds the princess' lost diamond and presents it to the king will be given whatever reward he asks for. The next day the king was sitting in the court listening to the complaints when a handsome young boy wearing a turban on his head entered the court and stood in front of the throne with folded hands and saluted. The king said, "Who are you and what do you want?" He said, "Your Majesty, I have come here to present the princess' priceless diamond, and as per the announcement I have come here to get whatever reward I ask for." The king said, "Well done. Where is that diamond?" He took out the diamond from his turban and gave it to the king with utmost respect. The king was very happy to see him and said, "Now tell me what you want as a reward." The boy said, "Your Majesty, the day before yesterday the princess had ordered to gouge out the eyes of a poor and old passerby. That should be taken back, and these 5 soldiers who arrested the passerby and abused me should be flogged." The king said, "What relation do you have with this passerby?" The boy replied, "Nothing. I feel pity on his condition, seeing his poverty and helplessness. Even if he had seen the princess, what effect could that poor man have on him?" The king said to the Prime Minister Farooq Ahmed, "We have forgiven the fault of this passerby. Now free him and put the 5 soldiers and this boy in jail." The boy said, "Your Majesty, what is my fault?" The king said, "You are a thief. You stole the diamond." The boy said that I had stolen it to free the traveler. The king said that there was no need to explain. The boy said that if you imprison me, remember that I will steal your crown and you will not be able to catch me. The king said, "Foolish boy, don't be foolish." Then he signaled the soldiers and they caught him and took him away. The minister went and freed the traveler. He got the soldiers to flog him 20 times. The princess was very happy to see the diamond and putting her arms around the king's neck said, "Abbajan, this thief should be given a severe punishment." The king said, "We have sent him to prison and now we are thinking of cutting off both his hands in front of everyone tomorrow morning so that the onlookers get a lesson. What is the punishment for theft?" The princess said, "Abbajan, he is absolutely right. He has also threatened to steal your crown." The king said, "But before we reach the room, both his hands will be cut off." Then he went and told the prime minister to announce in the entire city by this evening that both the hands of the thief who stole the princess diamond will be chopped off tomorrow morning. So everyone should gather and watch this spectacle. The minister said, "It is very good. Really, if this boy is not given this punishment, then he will become a big dacoit in the future." Then he went and announced it in the area. Then the minister came to the palace and told the king's decision to the thief boy in the prison. He said, "If you had not stolen, you would have been saved from such a harsh punishment at this young age." The boy laughed loudly and said, "It seems you all have gone crazy. Who can cut my hands? I will be free from this imprisonment before the sun rises." The minister came out and told the jailer to keep a strict guard tonight and keep it completely dark inside so that this prisoner boy cannot see anything. The jailer said, "It is very good, you should not worry. In my presence, not only this prisoner, even an ant cannot come out." Then the minister left from there and the inspector surrounded the prison. The soldiers were deployed. The night passed and in the morning the prime minister came to see the boy, but he was surprised to see this. The handcuffs and shackles were lying on the floor inside the jail. The doors and ventilators were closed, but the thief boy was missing. The prime minister panicked and called the inspector and shouted in a harsh voice and asked him, if all the soldiers were awake, then how did the boy disappear? The inspector said fearfully, "Prime Minister, I myself was here tonight and kept coming here after some time to inspect. I don't understand how he came out and where did he go?" The minister got very angry and he went and complained to the king. He also got furious and the king ordered that all the people who were deployed for guarding tonight should be put in jail and everyone should be given 20 lashes each morning and evening. The whole day of the king passed in a state of worry and anger. The king did not talk to anyone that day. He did not even see the queen and the princess, both mother and daughter, and went to bed before time at night. Princess Banu came to the king in the morning. She saw that he was very sad and was looking out of the window holding his head. The princess went close to him and put her hand on his forehead and said, "Abbajan, what is the reason for your sadness?" He replied, "How did that thief boy manage to escape yesterday, and tonight he stole my crown? It is very strange that he enters the palace by throwing dust in everyone's eyes and takes away whatever he wants." The princess said, "I think he is in cahoots with the servants here, otherwise how did he dare to enter the palace?" The king said, "I am sure that the boy has some connection with this old passerby. Therefore, to arrest him, that passerby should be called and kept here, and someone should be given a strict punishment. Then as soon as he comes to help him, he should be arrested." Princess Banu said, This is a very good arrangement." The king immediately told the prime minister. He called him and warned him of his plan. The minister thought about it and replied, "After getting the crown from that boy he should be kept under surveillance." Princess Banu said, "He should be tied in ropes. I will tie it up and keep it in my room. Then I will see how it will turn out. He runs away." The minister went and ordered the soldiers to arrest him. They caught hold of the passerby and brought him here. The order was late. The soldier was on horseback. They went on horseback and brought the old man back in an hour. The king, he was sent to the royal guest house, and an announcement was made in the city. He said that he would gouge out the eyes of an old passerby and feed them to eagles and crows. She will go and is currently imprisoned in the princess palace. This announcement, on hearing this, the boy got very angry and started saying to me, but when his force did not work, he targeted the poor old man. But the king and princess succeed in their mission. It is difficult. Then it was night, and at night the princess, there was a very strict guard on the palace. The king too was disguised and came downstairs that I was patrolling. A strange incident occurred around evening time. A strange scream came from the princess' room, and the whole palace it echoed. The king, the minister, and the soldiers panicked and ran wildly, and he entered the room quickly. He saw that the princess, she is lying on the floor. The king sat down and placed her head on his thighs. That I kept it and immediately called the royal doctor. The royal doctor, he treated him for a long time, but then he started saying in a trembling voice, "Your Majesty, alas, the princess has left us, that he has been bitten by a poisonous snake." Through the eyes of the king tears started flowing, and he started sobbing and pleading. That he said, "Oh God, what have you done to my life? This was my only support. You snatched that too." Badshah Coffee, he kept crying for a long time after seeing his princess. Then everyone, he consoled the king and lifted the princess and laid her on the bed. At that very moment the minister's eyes fell on the king's crown, and he said, "Look here, your crown is placed here on the royal chair. It seems that the thief came here at night." Then the ministers thought for a while and said, "What if the same rogue has brought the snake here?" He did not leave. The king did not pay attention to his words, because at this moment his heart is breaking with the grief of his only daughter. Then the king kept crying in this dilemma throughout the night, and a wave of sadness spread in the palace. Then when the morning came, everyone buried that Princess Banu in the nearby cemetery. The unfortunate news spread grief across the country. Every home, there was regret. Shops, madrasas, courts, everything was in ruins. Business was shut down. The princess's idols were kept in mosques and dargahs. Prayers were being offered for this. The next morning the king called his ministers along with him to recite Fatiha and lay flowers on the grave of his beloved daughter. When he went to offer prayers, he saw that the grave was open. There are heaps of soil, and the body is missing from the grave. This is the condition. Seeing this, the king's heart was so shocked that he fell unconscious. He fell on the ground. People brought water and poured it on the king's face. He got splashed. Then he regained consciousness, but he was still unconscious. The king was looking at everyone's face as if they were all his. The ministers consulted among themselves and told the king that he was a stranger to them. He picked him up, laid him on the horse and left for the palace. The royal doctor treated the king, and after 4 days he regained his senses. He was not so sad about his daughter's death, as much as he was sad about the disappearance of his dead body, that he appointed spies to find the body thief, find clues. Spies deployed a large force in the city of Damascus. They started looking for the thief. But how could they know that the body was lying there? The thieves left the city of Damascus and crossed the borders of the country of Sham. He had done it. He was riding his fast white horse to the dead princess, moving very quickly towards the city of Baghdad while keeping because the boy was sure that he would find refuge in Baghdad. He will get it. He is traveling very fast, but this worry was troubling him a lot. How will he hide the corpse at the door? To decide the destination later, when he reached near a small settlement, he threw the corpse, hid it in dense bushes, and went to the settlement and found a wooden. He bought a box, put the corpse in it and sent it to Baghdad. That I started walking towards it. It was night time. The door of the city's shelter was closed. The thief from Damascus was carrying a chest in which he entered. A merchant was standing there. He stopped him. He took it and said, "You should stay as my guest for 3 days." That it must be so, because I come here every Friday night and meet everyone. I consider the last person who arrives as my guest. Today, coincidentally, you are the last person to enter the city refuge. Yes. The thief from Damascus, who was carrying a corpse at this moment, thinking, I thought, what should I do now? If I am his guest, if I stop, I will definitely get to know the condition of this corpse. But then he thought that if he went to any inn, he would see this there too. That I will not be able to live without revealing the secret. It is better that I stay with this merchant. I should go with you. Thinking this, he said, "It is my good fortune to be a guest here." The merchant, smiling, he said, "This is my good fortune. You happily accepted my wish." He accepted the invitation. Then he gave him his horse and he took me to a luxurious mansion. There his horse was stolen by outsiders, sent her into the hut and took her to a decorated room, and he said, "This room is for you. Everything you need is here. That it is present. You will not face any kind of problem in this room. There are no windows or ventilators, and the door is such that the noise outside will not be heard." The thief said, "This is kept on the table. I liked the peacock very much." The merchant said that this peacock has many parts. They are busy. When he gets into action, this peacock starts dancing. That it seems so. The thief asked, "Can I see her dance at this time?" "Ha." He said, "The time for her to dance is fixed. When the time comes, then it will start dancing on its own. Yes, remember this. If it is dancing, never go near it." He noticed the peacock looking at it. He said, "It seems very valuable. You have bought it. Where did you get it from?" The merchant said, "I got it as a gift." Then he clapped his hands and called a slave and said to him, "If the food is ready, it is immediately placed on the dastarquin. Let's go." The slave said, "Master, please come." Dastarquin, but the food has been selected. The merchant caught the thief's hand and one took her to another room and fed her with him. After eating, the merchant said, "Now you take rest. Tomorrow evening we will meet again." The thief said, "That you will not be here during the day." The merchant said, "No, I go early in the morning and return in the evening. I will be back." The thief said, "Khuda Hafiz," and went back to his room. He went and locked the door from inside to rest for a while. After that, the box was opened and the dead body of the princess was taken out from it. Then he took out a white handkerchief from his pocket and blew air on his face. He thought that he should turn into a snake and see what kind of things are there in the merchant's mansion and who all live there. Thinking this, he took out a handkerchief and turned into a snake by blowing air on his face and crawled out of the room. There were 20 to 25 rooms in the mansion. Each room was decorated with precious and priceless things. After seeing them, he went to the room on the roof. This room was completely different from the 20 to 25 rooms below. It did not have every decorative item. Skulls and bones of dead people were visible everywhere. A mirror was hanging on the wall in front and a table was placed near it, on which there was a bright light. The merchant, wearing a long coat, was lifting the chimney of the lamp, and as soon as he lifted the chimney, smoke started coming out of the lamp, and in the mirror, the red pearl which had fallen from the peacock's tail, started shining clearly. The merchant, looking at the pearl, placed the chimney on the lamp and started thinking about something. When Shahid saw this spectacle, he understood that this person was not a merchant but he is a magician and there must be some secret in this form. Then he started thinking, it was better that I did not touch it. Thinking this, he crawled back to his room and licked the soil and came back in his real form, and after locking the door from inside, he slept on the carpet spread near the princess's bed. In the morning when he opened his eyes, the princess was also awake. That he told the whole situation to the princess and said, "Now we have to leave from here, otherwise this magician will harm us." The princess said, "I myself don't want to stay here. We should leave for Damascus immediately." Shahid had not yet given any answer when the magician appeared, and seeing the princess he asked Shahid, "Who is she and when did she come here?" He replied, "She is my wife and I brought her lying in a box due to fear of robbers." The magician became silent. Then he picked up a pearl lying on the floor and placed it at the feet of the peacock. The princess said, "Now please give us permission, we want to leave from here." The magician said, "Not now, I will send my guest away after 3 days. If you are feeling nervous, then after having breakfast take a walk in my garden. There are very strange things there. You will be surprised to see them." Saying this, the magician left, and after a while he sent breakfast for both of them. The breakfast had shir korma, apple jam, maida parathas, shahi tukta, and honey. The princess said that none of these things should be the one on which he has cast a spell. Shahid said, "I was also thinking the same thing, but what should we do now?" The princess said, "We will not eat any of this. It is better to stay hungry, and we will run away from here on the pretext of going for a walk." Shahid liked this suggestion and put all the breakfast in a black box and emptied the plates. Then the magician came and took both of them to the garden with him and said, "I am going to the market, you both take a walk here, but do not touch anything from this garden." The magician left and both of them started walking. Both of them were surprised to see this. The branch on which the flowers were blooming did not have even a single leaf. Both while strolling, we reached a pavilion where innumerable cages were hanging. And in every cage a beautiful bird was locked. The princess, he said, "I have never seen such birds before." Shahid told them what is difficult for a magician to achieve. At the same time the white bird said, "Will you help us?" The princess said, "You also know how to speak like humans. Tell me, can you help me? Do you want it?" The bird said, "We are not animals, we are cruel humans. The magician has turned us into animals and imprisoned us in cages. If you go to the roof of the mansion somehow and light the lamp and break the chimney that is emitting smoke, and we will be back again, you will become human beings." Another bird said, "You both are the sons of this magician, who are you?" Shahid said, "We are his guests." Parinda said, "What? Did you see the peacock dance?" Shahid said, "Yes, we saw the dance. A pearl had fallen from his feet. We did not pick it up. This morning when breakfast came I did not eat it." So the bird started saying, "That is why both of you survived. Otherwise you would have turned into animals as soon as you picked up the pearl. As soon as you go and have breakfast you become the magician's slave, and who I do whatever he says. Now I will not eat anything from his hands." Both of them returned to their room. The princess lay down on the bed, and Shahid went to the roof. There was no one there at that time, so he lit the lamp and lifted the chimney. At the same time smoke started coming out, then it hit the chimney hard on the ground. The pieces broke, and he ran downstairs to his room. When I went there, I saw the princess talking to a very handsome boy. She saw Shahid and saluted him. Then the princess, she said, The peacock placed on the table disappeared, and this boy it started appearing, and it says that the magician has given it this too through magic. He had made a peacock. Shahid said, breaking the chimney destroyed the magic effect. I kept going. Now all those birds must have become humans. I went and I will see. Saying this, Shahid went to the garden. There were yellow flowers. Now he was coming. Every person thanked Shahid after coming close to him and said to him, before the magician returns we shall. Everyone should leave from here. Shahid told about their condition. He made inquiries and found out that most of them were merchants who had come to Baghdad after selling their goods. The rest among the people there was a prince, a king in disguise. I had come to visit Baghdad and find out the situation there. And the magician took possession of all their valuables. The prince told them all to go to the mansion and take their own, pack your stuff so that no one gets hurt. All this people went to the mansion and started looking for their belongings, but they found nothing except a few belongings, and they, to make up for the loss, other items kept there were also collected. Shahid also took the valuables and put them in his trunk. He filled it and then took everyone with him and left the mansion. The gatekeeper kept screaming, but no one listened to him. All these people came out of the city wall and gathered at one place. They made a place to stay by pitching a tent. Then one of them, 2 or 4 merchants, take their goods to the city to sell. Shahid also sold goods worth several thousand gold coins, and in one day he became very rich. Meanwhile the magician returned. When I reached the mansion, the gatekeeper said, Sir, this morning all your the guests took their goods and belongings and left. We gave them a lot of happiness. We tried to stop them, but they did not listen to us. From under the feet of the magician, the ground gave way. He panicked and went straight to the garden. There he saw yellow. Instead of flowers, I saw flowers of different colors blooming, and all the cages were missing. Seeing this, his body was drenched with sweat. He became drunk and ran to the room on the roof. He went to where the chimney was lying broken. Seeing it, he felt a pain under his eyes. Darkness descended and he started crying, holding his head. Alas! That chimney, what I had achieved after 10 years of hard work, got shattered. Then he got up and went to the room where Shahid and Shehzadi were. They were of different colors, and a gang of people came from the front. There were guests. The peacock was missing and the breakfast items were lying on the floor. Now he understood that this destruction was because of that boy. It is from her. Then he said in his heart, but this damn breakfast is not good. If I had taken his orders, would not have taken even a single step without his permission. But this, the clever and smart boy, neither picked up the pearl nor the breakfast. Well, it cannot escape my hands. Then he, going to his room, Najumi disguised himself and left the house, and I went out of the city asking people. At a little distance there were tents. He went close to them and started breaking in. His voice, hearing this, the princess became suspicious. She called astrologer to her tent. The magician started grinding his teeth as soon as he saw his face. This is she is the wife of the enemy. I will never leave her. This wretch he has destroyed me. Then he held the princess' hand for a few moments that I kept looking at it. Then I took out a bottle from my pocket and, opening its lid a little, he said to the princess, keep the bottle close to your eyes and think about the question in your heart. The answer to this will be visible in the mirror attached to this bottle. As soon as the princess took the bottle near her eyes, the thing kept in it, the anesthesia went into his breath and he became unconscious. The magician stuck his head out of the tent and looked around. Is there anyone there? Then she was taken out from the back side. He left and started walking towards the forest. Coincidentally, at that very moment Shahid returned. When he saw there, the tent was empty. When I asked the people of equal status, they said, wait for some time. It happened. An astrologer came to the princess. After this I did not see anyone coming or going. Shahid was sure that it was him. Najumi has misled her and taken her somewhere. Then she thought that I wonder if these two have gone out from the back side. That as soon as he came, he went to the back side. When he looked at the ground carefully there, footprints were visible. And then there was that fast step while carrying him. When he reached a long distance while walking, the magician was seen carrying the princess on his shoulders. Shahid immediately took out his handkerchief, but then after thinking for a while he put it in his pocket and started running. As soon as Shahid came close to the magician, he turned around and said, "Beware. Stay away from me or else I will burn you to ashes." Shahid said, "You traitor, treacherous and rogue, take it down or else you will be destroyed. I will mix it up." The magician threw the princess down and took out a bag from his pocket that he took out the paw of a dead person and said, "If you care for your life. If you want then go back, else I will turn you from a human into a monster. I will give it to you." Shahid said, "It is better I am going." Saying this he went to the side and hid in the bushes and turned into a snake using the handkerchief. He went and crawled in the grass and reached behind the magician. As soon as he bent down to lift the princess, she bit him on the back. It stung him. And he fell down crying out in pain that he lay there. He kept writhing in pain for a while, then he became cold. Maybe he was covered in mud. After licking it, he came back in his original form. Then he kissed the princess. Gave air. When I brought water from the glasses and sprinkled it, he also regained consciousness. Shahid said, "If I had not reached on time then this damn thing would have happened. Who knows how he would have treated you." The princess looked at him carefully. When he looked at him, he was a cruel magician that he got up in fear. She stood up and said, "What did I know? That damn thing. He had come as a fortune teller." Shahid said, "Well, I killed him. I have put it on. Let's go back." When both of them reached back, people were packing their belongings. Shahid inquired. The people told that all their goods had been sold and everyone is preparing to go back. Shahid said, "First I want to go here and tell the king about the whole situation." Everyone liked this suggestion and the goods were sold. After tying him up, he left with Shahid. On reaching the king's palace after that they did not have to wait long. Soon the meeting took place. The king sat down calmly and discussed the entire situation. He listened. Then he praised Shahid and ordered his ministers to get the corpse of the magician from the forest. The minister will carry out the orders to bring it. The king left for the city with all these people. Send servants to dismantle the tents and bring back their belongings. Get them picked up and brought, because he treated them all as his guests. So all of them brought their belongings and went to the king's house. They started living here. On the third day the magician's mansion was given to Shahid. And he became its owner. Then the king gave him even more, granted the estate and fixed a special stipend for it because he had saved Baghdad from disrepute and from the traders coming here. And Saya was saved from the magician. On this happy occasion the merchants also gave a lot of reward and brought goods from other countries. The princes and kings promised that they would return to their respective countries, will send gifts after reaching. Shahid Jamal is in Damascus. Was a thief, but his sympathy, bravery, intelligence, and because of his intelligence, Princess Banu fell in love with him and now she wanted to spend her life with him. Shahid Jamal had bitten him with the thought that I would take him away and trouble him, I will cause pain so that the poor can be given severe punishment, and they let him get the result of causing pain. But by staying together he too fell in love and wanted to live his life with her. After staying in Baghdad for a month, Shahid said to Princess Banu, "Your father would be very worried. We should go and console them." The princess heard this and said she was very happy, and both of them left for Damascus the same day. The king of the evening is dying in grief for his only daughter. My health had deteriorated. Due to constant watering of eyes, the vision had become weaker. He had lost sleep at night. His daughter. Suddenly when she came near him, a new soul entered his body and he regained his strength. He hugged the princess, Then he remembered that his daughter was dead. As soon as he thought of that, he felt that his daughter was dead. He got scared and said, "Who are you?" "My daughter is dying. It is over." The princess laughed and said, "Abba John, I have been bitten by a snake. And a person bitten by a snake remains alive for 3 days. Just the other day, this gentleman took me out of the grave and took me to Baghdad and sucked out my poison and brought me back to consciousness." Then he narrated the whole incident, after hearing which the king hugged Shahid and was so happy with him that after a week he married the princess to him and made him the heir to his throne. After marriage, he went to Baghdad and his mother was very happy to see his successful life and kept praying for him. After 10 years, when the king died, Shahid became the king of the time and ruled till his death. Dear friends, how did you like today's story? Please express your opinion in the comment box. We'll definitely become a part of our family by subscribing to our channel to hear such stories. Thank you.